First of all, one of the things that I've had happen to me a couple times in real estate deals, especially when I was in Washington, D.C., is that somebody's all excited about buying a property, but they had a vacation planned over in Spain. And so they're about to
Mhm.
close on a house, but they're going to be overseas in the middle of that. So how
Uh-huh.
can the mobile notary work for them?
Welcome to the Jennifer J. Hammond Podcast. Jennifer is a licensed realtor, educator, speaker, and best-selling author. Jennifer's goal is to help you find your yay in every day.
Hello, it's Jennifer J. Hammond. I'm so excited to have Amanda Loeffler here. She does something that we need so much, mobile notary. I know you may not know what a mobile notary does or how much they could save you. So first of all, Amanda, welcome. Yay!
Yay! Thanks for having me, Jennifer. I'm so grateful.
I'm so excited. I want you to share just a little bit about your story, your background, because it's very special and you're an entrepreneur. Yay!
Yeah, thanks. Yay! Okay, so I'm Amanda Loeffler, and I am wife to Jake and mom to 5 really awesome kids. We're very rich in children and not in money, as I like to say. I've been a military spouse for 18 years now, and that entrepreneurial bug bit me. So I actually got a degree in business and organizational leadership and entrepreneurship, and then decided when COVID was a really bad time to open a restaurant. Yeah, I know, it was a horrible time. Couldn't get equipment, couldn't get food, couldn't get people to work. I mean, all the known places. Like, what? So I went ahead and did some research. And what can I add value for others, where people need me more than I need them, and that I don't necessarily need a lot of people to work with me, that I'm able to still have a job. And also, no matter what the government does, I'll still have a job because, a lot of people were losing their jobs, losing their livelihoods, and I have 5 kids to feed, that all have food allergies. So, I also wanted to make more than my husband because he does very well for himself, and we have a little bit of competition going. So I wanted to win. So I ended
Yay!
up starting, yeah, I know, right? I ended up starting Amanda Loeffler Notary Services, and since then I found a bunch of people that wanted to work. So we've morphed into I need a notary, because what do people do when they need a notary? Ah, crap, I need a notary. Or, oh man, I need a notary. Or expletives, I need a notary. Or, run the gamut. People are always looking for us, and so I did a little research, played with my SEO, and figured out that I need a notary was something that nobody else really owned, and that I could go ahead and lock that down and trademark it and stuff, and that I could also provide jobs for others. So, taking those skills that I learned in school and, really turning it into something fabulous. So yeah, so that's a little bit about me and what I'm doing and how I'm doing it.
And so let's talk about some of the ways that this is really important in our interesting world today. First of all, one of the things that I've had happen to me a couple times in real estate deals, especially when I was in Washington, D.C., is that somebody's all excited about buying a property, but they had a vacation planned over in Spain. And so they're about to
Mhm.
close on a house, but they're all going to be overseas in the middle of that. So how can the mobile notary work for them?
So that we also offer remote online notary services. And so what happens is that the title company will usually just email me the documents and a copy of your ID, either your passport, your driver's license, and then I'll go ahead and prepare it to be signed online. We pick a time to meet on Zoom, even if it's at a weird hour. We'll meet you at weird hours online, or weird hours for us, and go ahead and get it done and email it right back, so that way you can close on time. It has been such a lifesaver for so many title companies. I work with several that are like so grateful that I have the ability to do that. So
And I was going to say, and now we want to switch over to love and marriage. So what if you fall in love? What are some of the ways that you're going to need a mobile notary?
So in Florida, we can go ahead and we can perform your weddings for you and legalize that particular document. You have to have it for 3 days. So that's if you're in person in Florida. But let's say you decide that you find the love of your life that happens to live in Cuba, and you decide, I want to have my wedding on a beach in Cuba. Well, as an American citizen, there are several documents that you have to have notarized and apostilled in the Secretary of State's office in Tallahassee, and then the U.S. Department of State, and then the Cuban embassy. The process takes quite a while. and you really better love them a lot because it is not the cheapest process. So that's one of those things where you really got to figure out, like, how much do I really love this person? But it's the service that we offer for sure. We help with apostilles for folks all over the world all the time. And, you know, weddings are one thing that we do, but there's so many other documents that have to be legalized in both countries. So we definitely help people through that process.
And one of the things that I admire about you is that you don't let anything, I'm just going to say this, what I've observed is you don't let anything stop you. So like if you need to call a senator or you need to call a secretary of state, you just do it, which I got to say is something I admire a lot. And that not every, I mean, any, like even a title company but any other mobile notary might be like, oh, that's too difficult. And then they would just reject it. Whereas you're the kind of person is like, it's a challenge. I'm gonna find whoever needs to be the right person, and you just make it go right.
Yeah, you know, my life as a military spouse kind of pushed me into being that person, because there were many times where like we would need something on the family end, and I was an advocate for the families, and sometimes the only way to get it done would be to go to the admiral and ask. And so instead of being afraid of him, I was like, he's a normal person just like everybody else. And I kind of look at our senators and congressmen and stuff the same way. They're normal people, you know, so just go and ask, because the worst they're gonna say is no. You know, and I've heard a lot of no in my day, but usually if I go to congressman or a senator with, you know, especially a request is, so your documents at the U.S. Department of State, so big ugly building outside of DC, horrendous looking building, half of it's passports, half of it's authentications. The passport side's been open since COVID. The authentication side is still closed. You can only mail things in. So we used to be able to get documents in and out in 3 days. Instead, now we wait 16 weeks for documents to get through there. So the only way to get them to move is to use your elected officials. And so usually what I'll do is I'll find out, like, okay, where does my client vote? Then, you know, we figure out who is their congressman or their senator, and then I'll kind of go with who do I have the better relationship with, or, you know, do I know anybody in their office or whatever? And we'll go ahead and make it happen. And we'll put in the formal request, but I'll usually email ahead and say, hey, I just wanted to give you the heads up. This is what we need. And by the way, do you mind going ahead and looking into why this hasn't opened yet? Because this really should have opened like 2 years ago or longer. So yeah, we do quite a bit of that. I have somebody in the DC area that helps me walk things in to the embassies and some of the other places where things need to go. So that way we can expedite as well, which is, I mean, that type of service isn't found everywhere, you know, and I've tried really hard to create a concierge business where we can meet the needs, whatever the needs might be for that client or that customer, they're met with very little difficulty, no drama or anything like that. We just get it done. So
yeah, and that's one of the things that sets you aside. It sets you apart from other people, is that you really do have that white glove kind of, we're going to get it done kind of attitude. And no matter what's happening in this crazy world, just like you said, I mean, to think that some of the buildings are still not open after COVID, it's just so frustrating when you're trying to get something done. And so I admire that so much about you. And so now I'm going to talk about another difficult aspect, I'm going to say, of real estate, but when you need to get the documents done. And unfortunately, it's right around when there's been a death in the family. And now we have inheritance, and we have a couple different children who are going to inherit a property, and they're strewn all over the place. So talk about how you can help with that kind of situation.
Yeah, so usually stuff like that, you know, some of the law firms, they'll have everybody listed on one document, and sometimes they'll separate it out to where everybody's on different documents. So the times where everybody's on one document, or even when it's on different documents, usually we'll try to pull everybody together on one Zoom, regardless of where they'll be. We'll just find out that works for them, and we'll pull together on the Zoom, and then I'll just have signer 1, signer 2, signer 3, you know, however many kids there were. And then me as the notary, and you know, we review everything beforehand, and then I email the copy back to them, and then also back to the attorney's office. It's filed, either that, or we, you know, if it's a county where we have somebody on our team, we'll actually walk it in if that's what's needed, especially if it's something that has to be expedited quickly. So
again, above and beyond, because a lot of people won't do that. They won't do all the extras, and making sure that it's done, making sure that it crosses the finish line. and it gets to wherever it needs to go. Because it's one thing to get it signed, but it's something totally different to make sure that it gets where it needs to be.
Yes, and I feel like that really sets us apart, especially from my local competition, because most of them would have absolutely no idea how to do things, how to get things done. I actually I had one of my competitors that I asked to help to join me at the Chamber of Commerce, and people are like, "Why are you inviting your competitors?" I'm like, "We bounce a lot of business off of each other," and there was a situation where so Madeira Beach got hit pretty hard with the hurricane. And the mayor of Madeira Beach is a wonderful guy, and he's trying to help out his residents. Really good guy. And a couple people have the money to raise their houses up, but can't find a contractor to call them back. So I texted him with a couple names and numbers of, contractors that would call back and that could do the work. And she's like, "Oh, I might know somebody." I'm like, "Oh, just text it to mayor. Do you have his number?" And she's like, "No, I am assuming you probably do." And I was like, "Oh yeah, here you go." Stuff like that. I would say that she's like, for services offered, she's pretty similar to what I do, but just, doesn't have all of those relationships in place and stuff. Whereas
And that
I took the time to get to know him, just so that way I'm a familiar face. So if he needs to lean on somebody, I'm here.
and that was where I was going to go next, is to talk a little bit about the fact that you are so interested in the community that you live in and creating relationships with people, which is so amazing. Because, like you just said, do you have the mayor's phone number?
Yes, I have
Well,
a
of
mayor's
course,
phone number.
Amanda
Yes.
does.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, your state, some of your state representatives and stuff, just because there are times where like their constituents truly need something and they're frustrated and they're like, "I don't know how to solve it." It's so easy to just, a phone call or a text message or an email sometimes just solves everything. And if
Exactly.
and if our team can do that, because I'm working on training my whole team up here to do the same, if I can have everybody doing that, that sets us apart from everybody else out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I know we're just about out of time. I wanted to see if there was anything
Uh-huh.
else that you want to highlight from your business. So you do real estate, you do inheritance. Oh, here, I remember. Here's another one that I wanted you to talk about. One that I didn't realize was important. But so what if somebody goes overseas and they bring their underage child with them overseas?
Oh,
What are some of the
yes.
documents that they need notarized?
Yes. Okay. So this summer, I had many people reach out to me in a panic because they took their child with one parent or no parents to in one case it was Brazil, in another case it was Spain, in another case it was Argentina, and a couple other places. But the kids were not able to, they could get there, no problem, but they could not come home because they had a document basically get with both parents giving permission for the child to travel overseas without them, but didn't have it apostilled. It was not legalized in both countries. So they called me in a frenzy. So we hopped online, notarized the document. I emailed it to my teammate in Tallahassee. He walked it in the same day, and we got a scanned copy so they could email that ahead and mailed it off so that way they would have it in Miami the next morning so the parent could fly and bring their child back. So many situations like that this summer where it was like, my child is stuck in a foreign country. And, the instructions before they left may have said that, but they kind of missed that important piece of the puzzle. So it was a blessing to be able to really fit that need and, to also, circle back around and make sure that the child did come home safely. Which, I try really hard to follow up with that each time just to make sure things are okay, or in one case, a child was able to go meet the grandmother overseas, and then with the grandmother was allowed to travel either with the grandmother or by themselves, literally all over Europe. And that was a lot of fun to be able to like give permission to, but she was like not 18 yet. And I was like, like my parents would have been like, no way, and me having young kids, I'm like, I don't know that I would want my kids to travel all over Europe without me, mostly because I want to go too, but
Right.
like that was like, wow. So really, really neat stuff like that. A lot of what we do, some of what we do is really, really sad and very, very difficult. We go into hospitals, we go into rehab facilities and, places like that where it's usually kind of challenging. And emotionally heavy. But some things we do, especially helping folks through dual citizenship and, the travel abroad and, selling property overseas and stuff. Some of that can be like so much fun because there's a hope and a dream attached to it. And,
Yeah.
and it's something different every day, which is nice.
Which is so nice. So make sure, I want people to know how to get a hold of you if they're interested and they need a mobile notary.
They can reach us. Our website is in progress. It is coming. Should be up soon. It's www.ineedanotary.us. And our Facebook page is I Need a Notary. We'll have Twitter and LinkedIn. We're still setting all of this up because we're still like transitioning into this new name and growing into it, if you will. But we should have all the socials. If they just look up I Need a Notary, they should find us with our pretty teal little logo. It's teal and white and it says I Need a Notary.
Perfect. So, well, Amanda, I just adore your positive attitude, and I'm known for my yay. So I'm going to ask you to lift your voice and say yay with me as we go off the air. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
3, 2, 1.
Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Jack Canfield. You may know me as the co-author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. And if you want more help in getting from where you are to where you want to be, I want to encourage you to listen to the Jennifer Hammond Show